Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second presentation in a series titled Cyber Renaissance. It's called the Cyber Renaissance because cyber just simply means the digitization of everything and the connectivity of it all. And the Renaissance is a revival or a rebirth. And that is what our world is birthing into or changing into is a cyber world order. Now, I do recommend watching this series in succession. The very first in the series is all about the digitization of everything. Okay. And if you follow it in succession, you'll have a greater, clearer understanding of what our world is changing into. I'm making it very, very simple for you to understand so you'll have it memorized, you'll know what's going on in the world, and you will no longer be confused, if you are, about what our world is changing into and why it seems to be so bizarre lately. By the end of this presentation, you'll have an understanding of another basic concept of our new world. I'm going to save you a ton of time by making it extremely simple to understand, and I'm going to do it all under 30 minutes. So I call this new world a cyber world order. Some of you may be familiar with the term new world and then with the word order put on the end of that, but you may have gone, well, what does that new world system look like? Well, it looks like a cyber world order. We've been morphing into this for at least 100 years now. It's just that it's been such a slow progression that we weren't able to kind of put all the pieces together and have a clear picture to understand what it looked like. Well, that's what I'm doing for you here. This isn't about being in fear. Okay, this is just about knowledge to empower you. Knowledge with power gives us the ability to act on the new knowledge that we have. Simple, practical ways that we might need to adjust certain things in our life, our personal life, our professional life. By the end of this series, you'll have a lot of questions answered that will help you be able to navigate through these changing times with the least amount of friction. There are 10 components really to this cyber world order that I'm going to be discussing. There's many more, but this is just going to be the basics, okay? Starting with the digitization in the first presentation. Today I'm going to be going over biometrics. We're going to go over IoT, IOB, VR, AR, VI, robotics and automation, AI, the singularity, cybernetics, and transhumanism by the end of this series. So let's go. Biometrics are body measurements and calculations related to human characteristics. Biometric authentication is used in computer science as a form of identification and access control. Say, for instance, you open your phone with your thumbprint. That is your identification giving you access to use your phone. It is also used to identify individuals in groups that are under surveillance. Biometric identifiers are the distinctive measurable characteristics used to label and describe individuals. As an example, your gait. How far apart are your feet when you're walking down a street? How do your arms move? Well, that's an identifying characteristic to you personally. Same with your voice. It has an identifying characteristic about it. Your eye and your retina. You've probably seen somebody or know somebody, or maybe you open your phone to unlock it rather than type in a password. That is a biometric authentication identifier to unlock your phone. Facial recognition as well. Facial recognition is used all over the world, and we're going to be going over some of the ways that it's used that you may or may not have recognized. Your fingerprint. You may use your thumbprint to open your car door. You may use your thumbprint to lock your car door, unlock your car door, open your phone, do a number of different things. This is an example of biometrics. Sometimes you might put your finger on a pad to identify you by your fingerprint. There is apparatuses in different stores that are for what's called palm pay, where you scan your palm and then it pays for your product through your biometric identifier. And then that identifier is attached to your bank account. Therefore, all you have to do is swipe the palm of your hand rather than swipe your credit card. And this works in a couple different ways. Your hand is identified not only by the print of it, but also by the vein structure that the biometric identifier picks up on. In Whole Foods, there were 15 beta tested stores that you could have your palm print identified before you even go into the store, pick up your products, and when you walk out of the store, those products are all identified and the exact amount that they all add up to. That amount then is automatically taken out of your bank account because you were identified before you even went into the store. Biometric surveillance is on the streets. If you have not noticed the cameras everywhere, well, these are biometric authentication cameras. Every single person has an authentic biometric signature, and each person has a number to identify them by. This is an example of a Google identifying uh, they have a certain name that they call it, a lab, a biometric authentication lab, where there's certain cameras on the streets. They're in shopping malls, they're at train stations, in airports, they're even on the street. If you have a smart car, or if you have your phone hooked up to your car system for convenience, but it's identifying everything about you, where you go, how far you drive, how fast do you go, what music do you listen to? It's collecting every bit of data from every person on the planet so that they have a data signature and an identifier of their behavior. In the airports, for convenience sake, so you don't have to get out your passport or get out your driver's license or your identification. Well, now you can just quickly and easily sign up to have a biometric way of entering the airport and doing your business. You can consent to this and agree to the terms of your identification being part of your new way that you want to check in at the airport for convenience sake, but you are still consenting to this. Right now, we have cameras everywhere and we have surveillance everywhere that most of us have not consented to. However, in the new cyber world order, it's just going to be normalized. Some of you may have seen these clear stations at the airport. That's what these are. These are to make it quick, easy, convenient to authenticate yourself, get yourself in and out of the airport real quick by using your biometric identifier. Biometrics are also being sold for safe and fair elections. Voter registration implicates using biometric technology most of the times in addition to demographics of the voter for polling registration and or authentication. The enrollment infrastructure allows collecting and maintaining a database of the biometric templates for all voters. Now, in certain countries, there's been kind of a chaotic experience with election cycles that caused a what we could call a problem, right? So a problem can be created so then the solution to that problem can be offered and that solution will be accepted by the majority of the population who think that their consenting to the solution because of the problem, but they're really consenting to the solution to further insert them into the cyber world order. Did you get that? Problem, reaction, solution. And this type of registration for voting isn't anything new. It was already beta tested in Africa, as an example, since 2017. To make safe and fair and simple elections, they started beta testing the idea of a biometric identifier for elections. Biometric surveillance is also used for predictive policing. Predictive policing is the usage of mathematics, predictive analytics, and other analytical techniques in law enforcement to identify potential criminal activity. Potential is a key word here because it is called predictive policing. The potential that you may commit a crime in the future. And this article from the Nordic Journal of Law and Social Research has claimed that predictive policing was going on in China. And they called it an authoritarian dream of public security. An authoritarian dream that the authorities in every country have been using since 2014. Many cameras, much biometric surveillance being tested out in China first. China is the prototype for the rest of the world, for the cyber world order. I know it's very popular to hear a phrase, pay attention what's going on where you live. Pay attention what's going on here. Keep your eyes here. In other words, don't pay attention to the rest of the world, right? That way you won't be paying attention to what's going on everywhere. And many people do pay attention to. It's very um, biased, the information that we get about other countries, depending on where you live. I live in a country where our news about China is very biased, and to make China look like they're the, authoritarian country, and thank goodness where I live we're not so much like that, but this is going on everywhere in the world, okay? China is just the prototype. They are doing it all and perfecting it first. Here's an example of on the street having your number, your identifier, using biometric camera surveillance. Here in the United States, we too have on official government websites the introduction and the explanation of predictive policing. If you live in the UK, you have the same thing. It's called AI in policing and security. That is because these are AI systems that are collecting the data and uh, to identify the population. And they've been collecting this data on us for a very long time because who here has not ever posted a selfie on social media or has never put anything about themselves on social media, written a post, created a video, writes a blog, anything, anything that's in the cyber world, that AI has been harvesting the data, right? It's consumed it all so that it can replicate it all for certain reasons. Sometimes this AI in policing is called smart policing. And if you live down under, well, don't feel left out because this is everywhere, even in your country. Everybody that's listening to me, regardless of where you live, you can look at your government websites and you're going to find information on predictive policing and biometric surveillance. If you pay attention and look up, you're going to be noticing cameras are everywhere. Have you ever walked into a grocery store and you see your face up on the screen and you're on TV, so you're like, "Hi." Well, That's it. And, all those smoky looking half globes on ceilings in all the stores where we're told that that's to keep, people from stealing. Well, that's also biometric surveillance cameras. They're everywhere. Street lights have been changed for efficiency and to last longer and for a more to be more climate friendly, and they're not only putting biometric surveillance cameras outside of these new light poles, but they're also inside of the new LED light structures, the blue lights, and they come in all sorts of sizes and different uh they look different. You just need to start paying attention if you're interested in this so that you can see this is happening where you live for yourself. In 2020, I call it the fun time event that we all went through. We were perfecting the biometric surveillance cameras by standing 6 feet apart, covering half of your face, perfected the eye scan, the cameras from being able be able to identify people using nothing but their eyes. There's a movie called Minority Report with Tom Cruise. Some of you may have seen it. And then, of course, it's Hollywooded up, but it's showing predictive policing, where Tom Cruise, his character, is being hunted down because the analytics have predicted that he's going to commit a crime in the future. And this is a documentary to the right of the screen called Pre-Crime. I highly recommend it. It's an amazing documentary covering predictive policing, covering biometric surveillance, and all the details that go along with that. For me, this is the end of this presentation. You understand another basic concept of your world and what it is turning into. I've saved you a lot of time, made it very simple, done this under 30 minutes. And again, this isn't about fear. I am educating you in the simplest way I can of what our world is changing into. Some people call it a new world. I've heard it called a new earth. It doesn't matter what label you give it, it is the cyber world order. And I'll see you on the next presentation.